Am I the a-hole for causing a woman who badmouthed me at work to get fired? I kinda already know what people's answer to this will be, but I'm just asking to make sure. A bit of a backstory. I'm 24, male, born and raised in this fairly small town, which is surrounded by towns smaller than ours. People from surrounding towns come over to get their degrees, diplomas from my local university and college because theirs don't have good ones. My town is big enough to be a hot spot to surrounding smaller towns, but it is still small enough that most people know each other. In fact, most families know each other generationally. Now to my situation. I'm 24 male and work as an advisor at our local bank branch. About 2 months ago, a 23 female was hired as a clerk. She was from a surrounding town and had graduated from our local university a few months ago. For the first month, everything went well. She joined our friend circle and there were no issues whatsoever. About a month later, one day while leaving from work, she pulls me aside and asks me out on a date. I declined politely, reminding her that I was married. Most of my coworkers and I have known each other since our high school days, if not earlier. My wife was part of this same circle, and my wife and I have been together since we were 15. This topic had come up before, and I always have my wedding band on, so I found it weird that she'd still choose to ask me and not any of the other guys who were single. But I brushed it off and thought that was the end of it. That was a weekend, so on the next Monday when I come to work, halfway through my shift, one of my other coworkers, 24 female, tells all of us that 23 female told her that I pulled her aside and asked her out and wasn't taking no for an answer. She said I had started stalking her on Snapchat and Instagram. Here's the thing. My coworkers knew I didn't even have Snapchat or Instagram, and they know how close my wife and I are, so they realized she was full of ish. However, there were a couple of coworkers who weren't as close to me who may have believed her. I told my coworkers not to do or say anything to her, and I told them the truth about what had actually happened. I told them to ignore what she was saying and just agree with whatever she said because I did not intend to make this a big issue, and I told them she was just being childish and didn't know how to deal with rejection. Around 2 weeks pass, and my dad calls me one day and tells me he needs to speak to me. I go to my parents' house, and my dad tells me a friend of his, who was a client at the branch, told him about how I stalked a girl and she was looking to quit this job for another and asked if the friend could help her by hiring her into his company. After I told my dad about what actually happened, I decided that I had to stop her from badmouthing me and reported her to HR the very next day. When I told HR that clients were getting involved, of course they took it serious and investigated. The HR lady questioned me, my coworkers, and the 23 female scumbag as well. Obviously, everybody backed me up, and the camera footage showed her stopping me and not the other way around, so she was put under the hot seat with HR. At first, apparently she was so adamant I stalked her and she showed HR an Instagram account with my face on it. Here's the kicker. That photo was very conveniently the only photo of me on one of my other coworkers' profiles, which she followed on Instagram. She had made a fake account and texted herself-ish to be believable. She was fired by HR on the spot for spreading rumors with malicious intent and for disrupting the work environment. She was on her probationary period, so no severance or any pay. Since I live in a town where people know each other, the news had been spreading quite quick. Her job prospects here are null and void at this point. This is the only reason I'm questioning whether what I did was right. On the one hand, I'm happy as ever that I got my revenge, but on the other hand, I don't know if I took it too far and should have just confronted her at first. Edit. Thank you everyone for the comments. As I mentioned in the first line of this post, I had a feeling I knew the answer, and all the comments have reiterated the same, so I'm at peace now. As a lot of comments suggested, if not her, at some point, HR would have heard about this and potentially punished me. Thank you all for helping me clear my conscience. This was the first time I've dealt with something like this, which is why I needed the advice clarification.